What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are staying safe from the coronavirus and had a good day. Hopefully, you guys have plenty of TP because apparently there's a whole bunch of crazy people out there buying a crap load of toilet paper, which I think is interesting. So, hope you guys are doing good. This is my second installment of my video of Where Warm Waters Halt, and this is going to be a whole new set of hints or possible hints that tie us back to Canyon Street. And, as I talked about in my last videos, the potholes on Canyon Street, and then also there was a hint of smelly or scalding water that smelled bad and kettles. And there's multiple instances of that. And I tied it back to Yellowstone because it's the biggest caldera, and caldera means kettle, and it's known for its stinking water. So, anyway, so this is a whole new set of hints, and I'm going to make one more video after this, which is a different set of hints that really tie back to my first video. So, I also wanted to bring up if you guys tried to catch me and Carter's live video and Rodney Greenway, we had technical difficulties. So, people couldn't hear me and Rodney's audio. But when we were in Zoom, we could hear each other perfectly, and our audio settings were, set right. So it was on Carter's side, as in like the OBS, streaming it to YouTube. So we're figuring that out. The next time we go live, we will have it figured out. I'm pretty sure we got what the problem was. So, anyways, thank you guys for doing that. There's like 50 of you. That was awesome. And the next video is probably going to be on Where Warm Waters Halt, and we're going to try to go live on Sunday nights and maybe Tuesday nights. It depends. So stay tuned for that and subscribe to his channel because we'll be going live on his channel for a few times and then jumping back to mine once we get it all figured out. So let's get into this. So I think that river bathing is best is a chapter that hints to Where Warm Waters Halt. Now, I do not think it's his secret bathing spot on the Firehole River. He talks about in this chapter him riding his bike down the main drag and going to this seldom used dirt road, and he'd go down it, and this boiling water would go down the hillside and go into the river, and that's where he'd bathe because the water is warm, and he could control the temperature, moving around with his body. Now, I feel like he knew, Forrest Van anticipates what we think about things, and he has to be calculated with everything he puts out, especially in a book that he stated that there are hints that will help a person out. And he said that and, once upon a while. So we know that there are hints in this book. And I always try to tie it back to the thrill of the chase because I think that is the most important. He tells us to read that book over and over. So, he knows and he thinks about what searchers, are gonna think. So, river bathing is best when he's talking about a secret bathing spot, and the water's warm. He knows people are gonna flock to this area. But what if he was being really sly and told us where Warm Waters Halt is, but right before he talks about his secret bathing spot? You got to use your imagination a little bit on this one. But I'm going to bring up some hints that throughout the books and a few scrapbooks that tie back to, this line of thinking. So in River Bathing is Best, he says, for my Saturday night bath ordeal, Mom heated water on a wood-burning cook stove in the kitchen corner while I sat in the wash tub with my legs drawn tight. The water she poured over me was always too hot or too cold, but I didn't care because the aberrance of having to suffer the indignity of being nude in the presence of others was a prevailing consideration in my mind. Those weekly episodes always exposed one of my main psychological fault lines. If I had money, I could walk to the Union Pacific Railroad station where the attendant would give me a towel and let me shower for 50 cents. That was an enigma because I had a job washing dishes at the Totem Cafe and was paid an hourly wage that was identical to what I had to pay for a shower that lasted only 10 minutes. And after I worked another hour, I needed another shower. I never quite reconciled that math. Okay, so let's go over this. His mom on Saturday night would heat water on a wood-burning cook stove, and it was always too hot or too cold. Okay, so what was not the water? The water wasn't warm, right? It's either too hot or too cold. So what would Forrest Fenn do, at this time when he didn't have warm water? Well, he would walk a mile to the Union Pacific Railroad station and take a shower. That's where he'd get his warm water. And what is really interesting also is that he says it was an enigma because he had a job washing dishes at the Totem Cafe and was paid an hourly wage that was identical to what he had to pay for a shower. So, washing dishes at the Totem Cafe brings me back to, well, the smelly gravy kettle, right? And that's the reason why he had to take a shower, because it was smelly and he'd get dirty, and it was identical to what he had to pay for his shower, where he got his warm water. Well, this railroad station just happens to be a few blocks south of the Totem Cafe Caper on Canyon Street. So again, another hint, you gotta use your imagination a little bit, to warm water on Canyon Street. So I'm gonna go through, a few quotes and some scrapbooks throughout the books and scrapbooks of hints that I think tie you back to either a train station and indoor plumbing. Now, I know the Odious Soul had a video, which I thought was interesting because she mentions my hometown, Grand Junction, Colorado, in this, because there is a sculpture of a guy in a bathtub. And she talks about indoor plumbing, and he talks about it a lot. And she brought up some good points. And I feel like she was right. And indoor plumbing is used in this chapter as in warm water for him taking a shower. And also, it's a train station, which I think there are hints leading back to a train station also throughout the books. And, this so happens to be a train station with indoor plumbing on Canyon Street, the street that had the potholes. So anyways, let's start in the thrill of the chase, because that's the most important. And let's go to page 6. He says, I take showers only at night, so I can't see my age as much. When we built our house, she put a skylight above the shower. So, Forrest Fenn lived a crazy life, and I'm sure he has a lot of stories to tell, as we all know. There's 200-something scrapbooks, 3 books, and a whole bunch of other interviews and whatnot. And his first book, he decides to mention his wife putting a skylight above his shower and him taking a shower, which is really interesting because, in this chapter, he's talking about a shower also. So let's move on to page 25. And he says, Father, I said, her story isn't exactly right. What I said was, my father says you're an old bat. He slowed to a stop as my words began to soak in. So, kind of imagination a little bit, but when I read that, it kind of brought me back to a train station, as in he slowed to a stop, like a train would do, and as my words began to soak in. Well, soak is a connotation for water, and trains run on, steam engines. So let's go to page 42, and this is a Gypsy Magic. And he says, in the spring, when the weather was warm, so he brings up warm, I used to raise the window that was at the side of my bed and put my pillow on the sill. I slept that way whenever I could. The Caddy railroad tracks were about a half a mile from our house, and late at night I could hear the steam engines puff and the engineers blow their air horns. It was a soothing sound, and sometimes I think I can still hear it when the wind is out of the east. So, mentions the weather's warm, and then he mentions the Caddy railroad tracks, and he could hear the trains with the steam engines, and it was a very soothing sound to him. So, mention about trains. So, page 48, he talks about dipping the chicken in scalding water. Well, they had to got the yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. So I guess scalding water, maybe it was indoor plumbing. That's how they got the water that high, or they heated it somehow. So let's ignore that quote for now. I think that was in my other video. So page 115. So this one's really interesting, and this is Tea with Olga. So he says, somewhere along the way, I learned that my cost could also show a profit. Olga Savoda, probably butchered that name, was a good example. She lived immediately behind our house in a space that was much too small, even for one person. Her bathtub was just 36 inches long and looked crowded in her bathroom. So it's really interesting that he has to bring up her bathtub, and it's only 36 inches long. I mean, kind of seems odd to just throw that in there. And I know there's a lot of talk about, 36 inches long, as in 36 longitude, longitude and latitude. I don't know. I don't know too much about that. Excuse me. But, it has been talked about. So, kind of random for him to just throw the bathtub in that chapter. So, let's go to Too Far to Walk. Page 13. So, he talks about his father whipping him, which is a common theme of him getting punished or paddled. And he says, I knew he was just blowing off steam. So, trains run on steam. His father was just blowing off steam. Well, in the next chapter, on page 17, he's talking about, it's a chapter, buffalo smoke. And he's talking about, seeing these buffalo. And he says, when I looked around, there were 12 large buffalo resting in the tall grass, chewing their cuds and looking at me with an immense disinterest. So they could not have been more than 10 feet away. So much steam was on their bodies that it formed a cloud as it slowly rose to dissipate in the pine branches above. So this kind of gave me an image of a train also, as in the steam would rise and form a cloud. It reminds me of a picture of a train going with the steam, or, the smoke from the coal fires using the steam for the engines, above the train. So steam in multiple or consecutive chapters. So let's go to, river bathing is best. That's the big one. And I've already brought that up, so I'm going to skip that. And so on page 50, he talks about, taking a train from West Yellowstone to Georgia. And he went down there and worked and bought the Bullet. So another mention of the train from West Yellowstone, which would have been the train station on Canyon Street. So this is one big one. And there, to my knowledge, and I think I've said this before, that there are only 2 times where Forrest Fenn uses the words warm water, as in not talking about the poem or anything to do with the poem, just talking about warm water. And this one is the only one mentioned in the book, which I haven't really heard many people talk about it, which really surprises me. It makes me feel like not too many people put much merit in Too Far to Walk, and that's fine. The thrill of the chase is all you need. But he also said that there are hints in this, so I think it would be very beneficial for you guys to read it. So he says, dripping laundry in a huddle of 60 bodies living in one room didn't seem to be a problem for me at age 22, but it probably would kill me today. We took turns building coal fires in the furnace room at 4 a.m. so we could shave with warm water. So he's talking about building coal fires. What are trains ran off of? Well, coal. and so they could shave with warm water. So he's talking about this coal heating the water so he could shave. Kind of brings you back to a shower, or a direct hint back to the train station where he used to take a shower. They kind of go hand in hand. So building coal fires so he could shave with warm water. To me, it seems like he's hinting at a train, or maybe the train station on Canyon Street. So let's continue to page 90. And I'm going to read right now. Okay. So it's chapter 19, The Dude. We brought our good friend Donnie Joe into the deal, mostly because his grandmother was the postmaster in the town and knew everyone. I can't imagine why that mattered. His mother had the second indoor go-away flush toilet in town. I don't remember who had the first one. So another random thing about indoor plumbing and their first toilet in West Yellowstone. And they had the second, and he doesn't remember who had the first. Really random thing to bring up in this chapter. So, running water, indoor plumbing. So let's continue on page 144. I won't spend much time on this one because a lot of people did not like what I said, but he also mentioned Jackie Kennedy took a shower and walked into his office alone at night. So let's continue to page 238 and Too Far to Walk. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit to find the page. So 238 would be the chapter 45, Mountain Men. So this is in the same area where I brought up the tie that goes right back to a gypsy's kiss, or not a gypsy's kiss, a gypsy magic in Too Far to Walk, or The Thrill of the Chase. I'm getting all flustered here. Watch out. At night, there were some who played the fiddle or Jew's harp, as ladies with swishing skirts danced around the many fires. The smell of pine smoke was invigorating. So, it's almost exactly the same as what he says about the gypsies, with them playing the fiddle and Jew's harp and the ladies dancing around the many fires. So this is where it gets interesting. I usually had a motel room in the nearest town, and at about midnight, after the fires burned low and everyone was asleep, I'd wrap in my buffalo robe and tiptoe around the mass of snoring bodies and make it back to a soft bed and a warm shower. I'm pretty sure no one was the wiser. Or if they were polite enough not to mention it. So, I usually had a motel room in the nearest town. Could he be hinting back to when he was hiding the treasure chest and he would stay the next town over in a motel, and then he snuck out and hid the treasure chest? Maybe. Okay, so what I thought was really interesting is that, I brought up tiptoeing through the mass of snoring bodies, and, it's multiple times he's talking about bodies and tiptoeing around them at night. So, brought that back to cemetery. So, there's a lot of stuff right here in my mind that's really important. But what I thought was the most interesting was he said a warm shower. He didn't use the word warm and river bathing is best. He just said, the water was always too hot, too cold on the wood-burning cook stove, so where did I go to get warm water? He doesn't say that, but that's kind of what he implies. He'd go take a shower. Well, in this chapter, he mentions it is definitely a warm shower. Okay, so that is it for Too Far to Walk. And then I'm going to bring you to Once Upon a While. There's only one chapter that I thought was really interesting, and it is page 167, and it's talking about Suzanne Summers. So let's go to this page really quick. Page 167. So it's partying with Suzanne Summers. So he talks about going with Shiloh to this place and at her house, and they have a party here and yada yada yada. But at the end of this chapter, on the last page, he says Suzanne has a bathtub about 100 feet up the side of a mountain from her house. It just sits there all by itself amid the rocks and cactus. Shiloh and I couldn't believe it. I guess she likes to look at wildflowers while she bathes. Probably anyone can look too, but I don't know. So she has a bathtub 100 feet up on the side of a mountain by her house. Now, I don't know where I saw it because I don't believe it is in here. It is not. But it might be in a scrapbook, which I don't have up. But it actually shows the picture of the bathtub. Because I did not believe it at first, but then I saw a picture and I was like, well, I'll be damned. So another mention of a bathtub, or, just like Tea with Olga's bathtub, and then showers, and running water, and toilets, and all that good stuff. And then all the mentions of the trains. So let's bring up scrapbook 99.5. So, and this is so random, just so random, because he's taking pictures of his bathroom and shower. Now, let me read a little bit. So, no one comes in my bathroom, and that's final, except to get dirty clothes from the hamper when I'm not there. But they better not mess with my other stuff. I don't like the clutter, so everything on the counter is necessary. Everything else is hidden in drawers and cabinets. That's me in those mirrors. I can't imagine why there are 3 mirrors. So there's a picture of his shower. Really weird. Like, why make a scrapbook about this? My wife designed the shower, except I didn't want it enclosed with glass. So she said I'd have to squeegee it after each shower, and I knew that wasn't going to happen. I'm careful not to splash. So he talks about, and she put the huge skylight above the sprinkler. It was just there, and lets light from the entire world on me while I'm standing naked. Next time I'll design my own shower. So again, he mentioned this in the Thrill of Chase about him taking a shower and the skylight. That's shampoo and conditioner on the Bonko, and my towel drying on the warmer. So interesting, he uses the word warmer. I don't know why the wall is pink in the photo. Please don't tell anyone my bathroom is pink. So he goes on, and then at the very end, this is the second and only mention to my knowledge of him using the words warm water. Now he says, how fortunate we are to have the luxury of warm water and electricity, an extravagance that 80% of the world population doesn't have. That fact is not lost with me. So, the luxury of warm water, and he's talking about his bathroom, and most importantly, he's talking about his shower, which, the other mention is him shaving with warm water. So, thought that was really interesting. The 2 mentions of warm water bring you back to, indoor plumbing and or trains. Him taking a shower there. So this is scrapbook 121 or 126.1, excuse me. And these are Searcher's photos. These aren't Forrest, but what I thought was interesting is that he has a picture. This Searcher sent a picture of them on this orange car, this yellowish orange rail car, and it's the Union Pacific, so West Yellowstone. So let's bring up scrapbook 116. In my book, The Thrill of Chase, I'm fumbling all over my words here. I said in my book, The Thrill of the Chase, that I shower at night so I can see how old I am. But there's also another reason. I'm just really nervous with so many girls and other critters watching me while I lather up. When Mother Nature made the tiles in my shower, she probably giggled, knowing I'd be embarrassed. Everywhere I look, I see another face staring at me, so I don't dare shower with my jeans on. I never have any privacy anymore. So it's interesting that he's talking about these faces in his tile in his shower or his bathroom. And you kind of have to use your imagination and look and see faces in there, like major imagination. So, imagination with a shower. And why does he keep bringing up his shower? What is so important that he keeps bringing up the shower with the skylight? Like, why? Why does he keep bringing that up? Why does he talk about bathtubs a lot and, you know, other stuff like that? So let's go to this, and this is this is going to be my last point that I'm going to make. So it's Terry Scant. All I did was type in shower, and so he brings up this again. So I'm going to read. There are webcams all over the country these days. They give you live weather reports in living color. I just checked on one at the Old Faithful and found it snowing with visibility about 400 feet. Still, there were about 15 people walking around. The park is closed to all but snowmobiles. I like to check the Yellowstone giant screen webcam because off in the distance I can see an orange rail car that is parked adjacent to the building where I sometimes showered as a kid. I didn't do it very often because it cost 50 cents. Bathing in the Madison and Firehole rivers was free. And then many searchers told me the general area in which they're looking. I don't read long emails and yada yada yada. So in the scrapbook, he mentions, well, the train station again and him showering there. And he likes to look on this webcam because he can see it. So I thought that was really interesting that he'd bring that up. And then that one's about Jackie Kennedy. Brought that one up. And some of these are from scrapbooks. Yeah, this one's from the scrapbook I just read. So I said in my book, The Thrill of the Chase, I shower only at night. Yeah, so I read that one too. So this is the last one. So you said some things in your scrapbook entries that seem too bizarre to be true, like the fact that you keep your jeans on when you shower. Are you at times just pulling people's legs? Yes, I don't think that comment would fool too many people. I was trying to make a point. Well, what point was he trying to make by talking about his shower and showering with jeans on? Because he was embarrassed because there's faces in his tile. So he's trying to make a point here. So is he trying to make a point that showers, bathtubs are really important? Maybe. I mean, a lot of these are just kind of random, thrown in there aberrations that I feel like he's trying to tie back to Canyon Street with the train station being there, and that's where he went to take a warm shower. So these are two different routes that I saw that I tied back to, the Thrill of the Chase with Canyon Street and the potholes and the kettles and all that other jazz. So that's two instances that brought me back to this Where Warm Waters Halt. Now again, I'm going to say, I don't know if it's right or wrong, and I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just telling you guys, I'm reading this book and just telling you guys my thoughts. And I'm not making any money off this. I've had people, I posted on the Facebook groups, my videos just to see what people would think. I love to hear, everyone's thoughts. And this guy's like, 2 words or 3 words, YouTube ad revenue. I'm like, dude, I only have 750 subscribers. Like, I can't monetize yet. And when I hit 1,000, you probably get cents on the dollar. I don't know how much money you make, but it's not very much. And with all the time I spend making these videos, it probably doesn't add up to a much, dollars per hour. So I don't know why I'm even addressing that, but anyways. So hope you guys liked it. My third video will be the last one, and it's a new set of hints, if you want to call it that, tying me back to Canyon Street. And so that'll be the third and last. And then hopefully me and Carter can get the YouTube live going and discuss a whole bunch of things about where Walmart's halt and a lot of quotes that are interesting and a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you. And please subscribe and, like and comment and tell me your thoughts, whether they're right or wrong. Just don't attack me personally, because I'm not gonna deal with that. Like, I'm totally cool with people disagreeing with me. That's fine. Just don't attack me personally, because I'm literally just saying my thoughts. That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I'm not saying this is right. I'm literally just giving my thoughts on YouTube and seeing what people think. So anyways, guys, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.